This is a Camponotus maculatus subnudus ant colony, a week after the nanitics appeared. Straight out of a poster, they are undeniably the most beautiful ant species I have kept. She has a striking yellow and black bands that resemble tiger stripes. In Asia, this Camponotus maculatus subnudus is relatively rare and is native here. The founding queen was caught 5 months ago, and after 45 days or so, new nanitic workers started to emerge. The thing I realized about her during the founding period was that she never once went near the moist cotton part of the test tube setup. After she establishes her colony, none of her broods go near the moist cotton. Instead, they reside very close to the entrance. This is actually an important observation for keeping this species and charting your future nest setup for them. They like low humidity and higher temperatures, and you can tell where they chose to stay in this nest. They are in the drier part of the nest, where most Camponotus will make their brooding chamber in the wettest part of the nest. She is now 5 months old. I am not sure if my viewers realize this, she is missing an antenna. Out of all of the queens that were caught, I chose her to be the keeper since she was a handicapped queen, giving her a better life. Many of you might not know this Camponotus species hasn't really gotten its name right yet. Camponotus maculatus's name was taken from its African counterpart due to some color similarities other than the fact that the African version has a spotted gaster, whereas the Asian species has stripes on its gaster. Also, it is not common for Camponotus genus to produce naked pupae, meaning pupae that aren't enclosed with silk cocoon. Generally, other Camponotus genus that produce naked pupæ are from the Calomyrmex ant genus. I did a Google search on the word nudus, and it comes from a Latin word meaning nude or naked. Sub, meaning being under or below, is therefore similar to Africa's Camponotus maculatus, but below there is a nude in Asian ants. I guess they must have had difficulty naming upon the discovery of the Asian version, with naked pupae. Perhaps slapping on the word subnudus will do. Jokes aside, I am really happy to have kept this species, and I learn something new from them every step of the way, and I am just awed by their appearance. What do you think of this Camponotus maculatus subnudus? Camponotus friedae is a species of ant I wanted to keep for the longest time, and finally I managed to legitly source this species out. In Taiwan, they are branded as the giant black mountain ants. The queens are not available all year round but only in the summer up to the end of autumn. I did not receive them with colonies ready, instead, all I've got are only the fertile queens. I was hoping that they were fertile, otherwise, it would be a waste of money and unnecessary stress for myself and the queens. I got them in late October last year, at the end of their mating season. I immediately started tubing them. Quite surprisingly, 2 weeks in most were fertile when I checked on them. At that point, I knew I was actually going to start a Camponotus friedae colony at last, after years of promises and dismay. Do check out my other older videos if you want to know why. Camponotus friedae queen is polished glossy black, bulky in stature, and is one of the characteristics I like about this queen ant species. From queen ratio to worker size, the workers seem relatively smaller, which hence makes the queen look much bigger in appearance. I am also amazed at how fast they can grow in a short span of 5 months. The workers work around the clock, which is never boring, and it should be the first choice of ants for a novice ant keeper. The colony is always hungry, probably from all the high activity in the nest. You can tell that they are overfed by their extended gaster in every one of the workers. Other than its fast reproduction speed, it has low difficulty in raising them. I believe getting the right nest for clear observation of your ant colony is important. Watching the interaction of this ant colony can be clearly observed from this nest. However, Camponotus friedae is very sensitive to vibrations and bright lights. They are very timid, and the frequent movement or vibration of the nest sends them on high alert. Do check out this species, they never disappoint. It has been 2 months since you last saw them, this is my Myrmicaria brunnea subcarinata. After 7 months of keeping them, I realized that they are quite versatile ants, unlike what others have claimed that they are sensitive to the type of housing used. It is the total opposite. They are nimble, fast, strong, and, most outrageously, quite adaptable to every type of nest I have provided them. I have a few colonies of them in different types of setups, and since this is the first time I am keeping this genus, I wanted to know what works best for them. They are doing extremely well in a glass tube nest, tub and tube setup, substrate nest, and this full acrylic nest. I will probably make a video for this series about the type of nest they best flourish in. Anyway, they have grown quite a bit from the last video I made before this, and this is due to the insatiable appetite that they have. I really like this species, and I wish you could raise it with me. One thing to note about Myrmicaria brunnea subcarinata is that they cannot tolerate high temperatures. They appear sluggish. If you can keep them at a room temperature below 25 to 27 degrees, they should be fine. Let us marvel at her colony. She really came a long way to be sitting here as a proud queen ant. If you have not watched the previous Myrmicaria brunnea subcarinata video, do check it out. More than a year ago, I didn't know I would succeed in starting this species, Polyrhachis beccarii. It is hard because they require a lot of attention, and secondly, their slow growth is unnerving and monotonous. It is probably due to their size since they are a larger Polyrhachis species that I have kept. If you can remember, I named them my golden girls, not because they are all females, but because there are actually 2 queens in this colony. Check out the previous video of them if you haven't, and this will be sort of an update video of them. In fact, I'm sorry that it took me this long to update you guys on them. There is actually good and bad news after more than a year of keeping them. Unfortunately, the bad news is that one of the queens has given up on laying eggs. I do not know why, and I have given all kinds of feeder insects I can get hold of here. She is eating and is healthy, but she just doesn't lay eggs anymore. For a couple of months now, she has been walking aimlessly in the nest. The place she resides now is not at the egg pile but rather in the workers' resting chamber. That's the sad part, but here is the happy part. Although there is only one queen producing, they have grown so much larger that even more pupae are seen in the nest. I noticed they had piled trash within the nesting chamber and have refused to occupy some of the chambers. I moved them to a new medium-sized nest, as the starter nest has also gotten dirty due to overcrowding. It has been a month now since they were in this new nest, and they seem to be doing well. They definitely are a very beautiful golden Polyrhachis species, and it brings such joy to see them doing well. Make no mistake, enough effort was put into caring for them to get this far. I am happy that I can show you her colony, and I hope that my viewers will continue to watch it grow. They don't bite, they don't sting, but they sure get into everything. My Calomyrmex genus ant colony, also commonly known as the white-footed ant, was my accidental colony, and I did not mean to start one. It was their nuptial just 3 to 4 months ago, and I just picked up 2 queens among the rest. Not thinking much of it, I decided to put them together in a water feeder test tube setup, which I coincidentally had at the time. It is a small and narrow test tube meant for water drinking towers. I kept this species in the past, and it wasn't pleasant to contain them. I could say that I was only casually keeping them for 3 months. The small test tube was already filled with them. I moved them to this nest just recently, and they adapted quite quickly to the nest. They definitely do not have a shy nature, and they will eat even immediately after I introduce them to this new nest. White-footed ants are known for their invasive spirit and are the most notorious home invaders. White-footed ant colonies grow quickly and may exceed millions of individuals. Another fact about them that you might not know is that these white-footed ants typically do their feeding at night and day. Similar to other kinds of ants, the white-footed ant will have some of its colony go out and get food to eat while others stay behind in the nest. Generally, white-footed ants do not do much throphylaxis, which is to regurgitate the food they have eaten and share it from mouth to mouth. Simply put, the white-footed ants do not like to share food with others, they will lay unfertilized eggs and eat them instead. Yes, the nutrient-packed eggs will provide all the nourishment the white-footed ants require during harsh conditions in which they are unable to go out to feed in the wild. White-footed ants are strongly attracted to sweets, although they will eat dead insects and have been observed attacking other small prey. The white-footed ant reputation of being invasive in homes is an experience you do not want to have. You have to truly see it to believe it. Calomyrmex Leonardi, the species of ants where I have tried to succeed on 3 other occasions, which ultimately end in failure. I have featured them in my old video on this channel, do check them out if you want to take a look. The most I got out of my previous colonies was 5 workers, and suspiciously, the queen died and the others were hopeful infertile queens. I remembered setting up to shoot a video of them, but unfortunately, the queen wasn't cooperating and passed away. That was the closest I got to having a successful colony. This queen, which you see here, has her own story. She has a damaged front limb, probably due to landing on a hard surface. I swear, I heard a thud on the pavement when I saw her. She might have been injured during her mating ritual or had many other events occur while she was just a princess, but we will never know. But what I do know is that she was unable to remove her wings due to her injuries. She eventually gave up and laid a bunch of eggs on the 3rd day. At this point in time, I wasn't having much expectation, as I have been through this a couple of times before. I just have to ensure that she gets sufficient energy to last 2 months before I celebrate. One thing to note about his Calomyrmex Leonardi queen is that she is extremely bad at keeping her founding test tube setup clean. The queen has a habit of biting chunks of cotton off, and smear honey that I've provided all over the test tube. To add to the mayhem, she will defecate all along the tube with a mixture of expired honey mixed with poop. Despite the dilapidating test tube condition, she founded her first 2 workers after 2 months. During that time, the cotton had turned from white to a reddish brown, and it was time I did something I wouldn't do at this stage, which was to move her out into a nest. She has been living in this nest since then and now has 5 workers. The first 2 nanitics are dying off. Their carcasses are seen strewed in the nest. Like I said, they lack hygiene. Anyhow, I feel she will be more well off in this nest than in the dirty test tube. Now, even with 1 injured limb, it will not be a problem since she is now taken care of by her workers. That is all for now, an update on what is added to my ant keeping collection. I hope you have enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't. Thank you for watching.